Got the name.
Yep. Okay, our first agenda item is open forum. Members from the commission have anything for open forum? No?
I have a couple things. The first is tomorrow, November 11th at 11 a.m. on the town common. The town of Westford will be hosting a ceremony to honor all those who served our great country as a portion of Veterans Day. As I said, 11 a.m. at town common. Masks are required if the event is moved indoors to the center fire station. And all veterans who wish to march in the ceremony may congregate behind the J.V. Fletcher Library at 10:30 a.m. And please come out to support the veterans of the community. Secondly, there is the Westford's Healthy Lakes and Ponds Collaborative on Thursday, November 18th, from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 at the Nemnasset Lake Country Club. For an informative session focusing on Westford's lakes and ponds. The session will focus on the pre-post survey assessments of the lakes and ponds. Information will be presented on the long-term plans, goals, invasive plants, algae blooms, treatments, and prevention education. There is no registration required. And the speakers will be the nutrient remediation project manager and senior environmental engineer from Solitude Lake Management, and a certified lake manager from the ESS group. So we want to put those out for people to attend.
Okay, that's it. Anything from the audience in open forum? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to our 7 p.m. agenda item, which is a request to install bat boxes from Girl Scout Troop 82694 at the Day Conservation Land.
Yes, so the 6 members of Girl Scout Troop 82694 on Monday, November 1st, presented a proposal to the Agricultural Commission to install 3 bat houses at the community garden. They were there to get support, see if there were any questions, because they have a meeting planned with a bat expert to as to how close, how high, all those kinds of questions. And so they're going to come back with a more formal presentation to AgCom when they have a more detailed plan, but they were, because we're the custodians of the land, they also were, I suggested it would be good for, to get CONSCOM's agreement as well, that we thought this, we would support a plan when we see the details.
Yep, okay.
I think bat boxes would be great.
Yeah.
Great idea, yeah.
Yeah, we have them in other parts of town on our land, so.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, super. Okay, we'll move on to our, let's move on to a certificate of compliance. We've got a couple of minutes.
Yep.
How about the, we won't talk about that. I won't talk about that.
Can't hear you.
I'm just looking to decide what we're gonna do, Jim,
Oh.
so. The Dayfield response to Agricultural Commission.
I don't think that's going to be a short discussion.
Okay, it's gonna be long.
Yeah.
All right, we won't do that. Request to approval of scope of full wetlands replication. Is that something we can approve?
Yeah, Mark's here, so we can certainly jump into that.
Good evening. Part of the order of conditions for Colonel Rolls Drive required bonding for the wetland replication area. The developer has obtained a quote from a landscaper, and that's been submitted, and we'd like the commission to vote to approve the bond amount based on the landscaping quote. The bond amount comes to $15,679.
Yep, it's consistent with the replication plan that was submitted either during the, I think it was during the public hearing process for the,
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
so.
Okay. Motion to approve the scope of wetlands. Rep?
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay,
All right.
we're good
Thank you.
there. Juniper Hill.
Did you want to do there was the request to work after, on the other side?
Oh, is that you too?
Yeah.
That's you too. Yeah. Request to
Winter work?
work at Colonial Rolls Drive after December 1st?
Yes.
So what do you want to do?
Well, I guess the critical thing would be to replace the existing culvert with the new culvert and construct the retaining walls, and fill the part of the roadway, and then also get the drainage structures. We've got an infiltration system, a detention system, and a sand filter. We'd like to be able to build those before the spring when it gets really muddy.
So, how much vegetation, trees are gonna have to be removed to do those?
The detention systems are fairly big. There's probably maybe a dozen or so trees coming out of that. But there's a down gradient from that is a stone wall, and the silt fence is already in place and everything, so it's very well, the wetland down gradient is very well protected, and we're, I'm guessing we're probably about 50 or 60 feet from the wetland too. So, we don't want to construct a wetland replication area right away. We need to do that when it's planting season.
Comments from the commission?
Is there a schedule other than just in the winter?
Yeah, it was the followed up. It was the next page of
okay.
so, I mean,
Oh, good, I'm glad to see you're not just waiting till December 1st, you're starting next week.
Well,
There have been some delays with getting the plans recorded with the registry and the final decision from the planning board recorded.
well, I think this is gotta be conditioned on the weather conditions.
Yeah, it's a
and-
long,
Yeah, and when I look at stripping and stockpiling, and that's usually, you know, one of the big issues we have, you know, and I know what Mark's saying in regards to the site and everything, but, you know, opening it up during the winter and leaving it open without, we usually try to have things stabilized.
Well, we can certainly stabilize any stockpiling that we have. It'll be well outside the buffer zone, and we can circle that with silt fence and wattles. So it'll be probably several hundred feet from the wetland, because we have plenty of area on the site that's well outside the 100-foot buffer zone. So there's plenty of room to stockpile. I also want to point out that the planning board has a regulation that restricts the amount of work that occurs between November 15th and April 15th. We are meeting with the planning board on Monday night. Specifically, they have regulations that prohibit work when it's, you know, snowing, raining, in that period of time. And the engineering department is going to be looking very closely at what work is being done during the winter months as well, whether it's inside the buffer zone or not. But the most critical part we'd like to get done is the first couple hundred feet of road where we have the wetland crossing. We're gonna have a lot more water coming through that culvert in the spring, so it would be better if we could get that done and stabilized, and have the retaining walls on the side all constructed prior to the spring runoff.
So why don't we condition this on the fact that Matt's got to do a weekly review on this to make sure the weather conditions and everything are,
yeah, I can
Good with
certainly,
you?
do that.
Good idea.
that makes sense?
yeah.
Yeah, so he has the authority to stop him if he sees the conditions.
And add additional erosion control.
Right.
Right, I mean, that's a standard condition anyways. I mean, there's also a condition in the order requiring monthly submittals, when work is occurring in the buffer zone. So, I mean, between myself, you know, I mean, it's an easy enough place to do drive-bys and, you know, it's not hidden behind something.
Yeah.
So I certainly can make sure to get out there regularly in the course of the day and, you know,
Okay.
make sure everything's stable, there isn't anything
So,
going.
so let's condition this on that schedule, and that at each point in the schedule that he'll do a review before they go to the next step.
Sure.
That sound good?
That works, yep.
Okay, so can I have a motion to that effect?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, we're moving on to our 7:35, which is a public hearing for Eagle Scout Zoo, Bixby Lane Footbridge.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, November 10th, 2021, at 7:35 p.m. in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, on the notice of intent application of Nathan Sue for construction of a footbridge over an intermittent stream on the Tom Paul Trail within 100 feet of a jurisdictional wetland and within 100 feet of an intermittent stream at Assessor's Map, Parts 026, Parcel 0036, Lot 0000. Hi.
Welcome.
So I'm Nathan. I'm from Troop 95, so this is like my proposed Eagle Scout project. So basically this will be like a small footbridge. It'll be about 12 feet long and 4 feet wide. There's like a design over there. It's gonna be composed of pressure treated timbers, and it'll be composed of primarily 3 long 12-foot timbers and 2 4-foot timbers that are across the bottom, and it'll have decking boards on top as well. And those will be held together with galvanized screws and galvanized steel spike nails to minimize rust and rot on all the materials. The location of it will be adjacent to Bixby Lane, so it'll be about, I would say, 40 or 50 feet from the road, and it's on the Tom Paul Trail across like an intermittent stream.
Looks good.
So just to, Nathan has received approval from the multiple conservation restriction holders and the property owner. We figured it was good to have the Blanchard Farms Association and then also the Westford Conservation Trust, and I signed as well. I think he presented a couple weeks ago to the commission, so.
Okay. And you talked to the building inspector, and he was good with us?
Have you
That's
spoken?
what I was gonna ask too.
We can certainly follow up with the building inspector. I mean, we have 4 weeks before the next meeting, and we can
Okay.
certainly.
And just follow up with him and make sure the
Yep.
design's okay with
Because
it.
this isn't laying flat on the ground, it's like a 4-foot deep stream under it, right?
Yeah, so it's gonna be on a bank, so the stream is about like 3 feet deep
3
at its
feet deep,
deepest
okay.
point in the middle, and it's about 5.5 to 6 feet like across the trail. And so it'll be laying on like a bed of gravel so it doesn't move, and that'll like help with drainage as well underneath the bridge.
Okay.
So it's not
I
sitting
don't
directly
know
on
if
the
they'll
ground.
have, the building commission will have concerns about the side, the edges or
Sides,
anything like
yeah,
that.
that's the only thing, yeah.
Right.
And if we need to, include some form of one side of a railing or 2 sides.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
we can certainly follow up
But
with
yeah,
them
okay,
and make
that's
sure
what-
the
that's-
design is.
That was my only concern, but I think
um,
it's a great idea. It'll look great.
Okay, so we'll continue this to our December 8th meeting, and you check with the building inspector, and we'll issue an order of conditions on December 8th,
Okay, thank you.
okay? And you don't have to come back if there's not any changes.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Motion to continue this to December 8th?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great,
Good luck.
thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to a 7:40 PM agenda item, which is a public hearing for Byrne Avenue Realty Trust, 12 Byrne Ave, 334-1779.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, November 10th, 2021, at 7:40 p.m. in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, on the notice of intent application of Byrne Ave Realty Trust for removal of the existing dwelling and patio and construction of a new dwelling with associated patio, utilities, grading, and landscaping within 100 feet of Nabnasset Lake at 12 Byrne Avenue.
Right,
Hey, Dan.
I guess while Jeff's getting ready with that, I'll give you a little history of this particular project.
Yep.
This is,
Just name for the record as well, thank you.
Dan Doherty, Byrne Ave, Westford. The history of this particular property is it was completely renovated like approximately 25 years ago with a new septic system then. And the Terriers owned it, and it's since been sold. A new owner had it for the last, I don't know, 12 years or so. And when they have a second home, when they were at the other house, the water had been running in this property for over a month, filling up, and the whole basement filled, and it was, the only time it got noticed is it was overflowing by the neighbor on the outside. So there's a tremendous amount of, the whole first floor was compromised to the point where there was mold and consequently, heating systems. Kind of toyed with the idea of, jacking up and kind of just doing like 4 feet, but it just makes more sense to tear it down and do it again with the insurance money that they're gonna give them, so that's the long and short of it. It doesn't look like it needs to be remodeled and or removed or anything like that, so that's why I point that out to you, because the whole, like I say, the whole first floor was just completely compromised, so.
Jeff Hannaford, also representing the applicant at 12 Burn Ave. The original dwelling was constructed about 1950. It has approximately 1,157 square feet of impervious. The setback to the lake is 36 feet currently. The proposed dwelling will be 38 feet, so a little bit further, 2 feet further back from the lake. And as far as impervious area, it's a slight increase of about 168 square feet, which is roughly the size of a shed. If you look at the two drawings, particularly over here, because of the coloring, the one on the left is existing, and you can see there's an L-shaped area towards the back right here. There's a deck in there currently. The new dwelling, that corner will be filled in. That's the increase in impervious. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same. We are twisting it slightly to make it more square to the lot, and we are hugging the 50-foot setback for zoning to the front, which has allowed us to increase slightly the rear. There are no trees anticipated to be cut as part of this project. The work outside of the dwelling itself, between the dwelling and the lake, there's currently a flagstone type patio there. They want to remove that, replace that with a paver type patio, which should be more impervious than
Do you mean
More
pervious?
pervious than the.
I mean, more
Good.
pervious, I'm sorry.
That's what I was gonna ask.
I was wondering why everybody was looking at me like we had two heads.
It's a key element, Jeff, key element there, Mike.
Amazing what a slip of the tongue can do. So with that, outside of the change in patio material, it'd be roughly the same size as what's there. Like I said, this one is one of the rare ones where there are no trees that need to be cut. It's a fairly flat topography, so any erosion will be minimized by that. And we do have erosion control set up between the patio and the lake.
So the existing septic stays,
Yes.
okay. The house is elevated, is it, I'm assuming it doesn't have a full basement now, but it will have a full basement? And if it's at, is it gonna be higher? I'm trying to wonder if there's any, do we have to worry about any grading from the sides or anything like that interfering with any of the abutters?
No, pretty much now, the house is almost buried into the ground.
Yeah.
So it'd be more desirable to have like 8 more inches.
So
in.
you
So
can,
there's
you can have a
nothing- no.
full basement, but it'll be buried in the ground?
No, it's
or-
a crawl space, it won't be a basement.
Oh,
at all.
it'll just be a
Yeah.
crawl space, okay.
Where does the drainage go now, coming off the roof? Is there drip edges? They're just drip edges?
It just goes really right on,
Full
there's
foundation and
grass
just
to
a
the right
cross
side
wall
up the,
foundation.
if you're
Okay.
looking at the plan from the street in,
Yeah.
the right side is a walkway with some plantings on both sides. And it's just got a little, the other side has some flagstone again, but I think that side would just be stone, no maintenance.
Basically just sheet flow
It's
Right
just
now.
sheet flow down?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't,
gradually towards,
I mean, it doesn't flow over to the neighbor's property at all? There's
No.
no problem with it? Okay.
Everyone's kind of level till you get to my house, which is 2 doors away.
Any floodplain at all?
No,
Okay.
No, the 100-year floodplain elevation's at 171.5. The top of the retaining wall's at 172.3, I think. And we did receive a file number either today or yesterday from the state. It's 334-1779.
Any work on the retaining wall to the lake itself? It looks like there's an existing granite.
No, the existing wall is actually in really good shape.
This looks good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that they were looking to do that, that was part of this.
Any questions from the audience on this application? Okay, seeing none, we can continue this to our next meeting. Issue order of conditions.
You know, one question I do have real quick, where are you gonna be storing the material? You're gonna be putting this frost wall foundation in. So are you gonna be storing the dirt that you dig outside of the?
Well, the benefit in this particular case is they own the lot across the street of Burn Ave. If you notice, there's no parking on this particular
Right.
design. And the reason for that is across the street, they own the garage, there's a two-stall garage with it's a buildable lot, but they just have a garage on it. So if anything needs to be
Storage and
stored,
stuff can be,
It's outside,
okay,
yeah.
that's good.
Okay, can I have a motion to continue this to our December 8th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Where's the
Aye. Opposed? We're good.
thank you.
thank you.
Going to move on to our 7:45, which is a continuation of a public hearing for 73rd Edmore Road, and he's asked for a continuance to our December 8th meeting. Motion to continue to December 8th.
I'll move.
Second.
All in favor?
Just
questions.
kind of jumping ahead to scheduling site visits, did the commission want to try and get out to this property before it snows sometime either at the end of November or beginning of December?
Would they be able to, for example, stake significant things like the corners of the buildings, et cetera, so that we could see
You already have stakes out there, don't you?
where stuff's
73.
gonna be?
You've already got some stakes out there now, don't you?
Not that they would recognize. What in particular?
Well, just in terms of if we're gonna do a site visit, we see the house as it is, and then just for frame of reference, where significant things of the proposed dwelling will be, like, you know, where the corners and different, features.
Right.
Well,
I think for that one, the only corners that we could probably do would be the right end. Yep, because otherwise it's in pretty much the same.
Inside the existing dwelling.
Yeah, there's not much change to the actual footprint of the new house. The only thing is, the reason for the extension is that we're dealing with a design person to actually lay out what we want to do in terms of the walls and stuff that have to be.
Landscape.
The landscape that has to be done.
Would you be able to mark key points on, like, if there's gonna be a new retaining wall or whatever, the location of that?
We would definitely have that for, as soon as I have the plan, I can notify Matt. And if you want to schedule around that, that might be the best thing to do, because
Yep,
I
that works.
expect to have that within the next week or so.
Yeah, and we'll be in touch, and we'll certainly schedule time that works with the commission.
Unless you want to go, just set a time now, and we can kind of go
Well,
over
why
it.
don't
It
we
makes
why
more
don't we wait
sense
till
to
you
have
get
it.
it done? He can do it by email. He can set it up by email.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
He can set it up by email
Okay.
if we want to go out there. But, it's up to you to get us the plans. Okay. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, we're gonna move on to our 7:50, which is a public hearing for KMR Realty, 59 and 66 Tilden Street. This is an ANRAD. Don't have a file number. Do you have this?
I haven't gotten a file number yet. It hasn't even made it into the system, and I'll pull up I forgot to print you,
The notice?
the notice.
It's on your computer.
Here, no, it's.
Oh, got it, all right. Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, November 10th, 2021, at 7:50 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, on the abbreviated Notice of Resource Area Delineation Application of Russ Trawick Premium Homes LLC for a determination of wetland resource areas located at 59 and 63 Hilder Street.
Okay, good evening, excuse me. Good evening, Mark Slager from Allen Engineering. The property is at 59 and 63 Hilder Street. There was an existing home, and there is an existing garage at 63 Hilder Street. 53 is currently vacant and undeveloped. 59 is the property on the right-hand side of that property. And you can see the existing garage down in the lower left corner. That's at 63 Hildreth Street. The majority of number 59 is wetland. So we have the wetland flags delineated. It was flagged by Norse Environmental a couple of weeks ago, and I located them. I'm not sure if you had a chance to go out to the site yet, but we're here just to try and figure out what we can do with the property.
Yep. I heard back from Norse Environmental today. I'll be setting up a site visit in the next week to get out and confirm the flags, and also hope DEP gets us a file number and acknowledges receipt that it got in the system.
Jim?
I'm not familiar with the actual wetlands on the property, but just the markings of the flags, the locations doesn't make sense. Like this one right here, it's just the line saying, it doesn't even say which side the wetland is on. It should be, it's gotta be a closed loop in some way. And likewise, over here, this goes up off the property, I assume, off that, but it just ends right there. It doesn't make any sense. Is this side wet? Is this side wet? Where does it go dry?
Okay, I can clarify that on the plan. Just for tonight's purposes, the wetland is on the north side of the wetland flags, and on the south side of the wetland is what we're looking to do any work in. So we didn't really go in and flag all of the wetlands, so they're really not going to have any impact on what we're trying to do. But I will clarify that and add some additional information onto the plan so that we know where the wetland is. So I do have the buffer zones, the 50, 75, and 100-foot buffer zones labeled on there as well.
And also, I did confirm that the stream was intermittent as based upon the USGS topo maps. So that I can confirm.
Okay, well, that's gotta get out there, so we'll continue this to December 8th meeting. Have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to our 7:55, which is a continuation of a public hearing and issue order of conditions for the town of Westford, 33 Robinson Road, 3341762.
They're out in the hallway.
You good? Come on. So we got the new.
Yes.
Did we get,
Yeah, I sent them out at the end of the day. I can certainly form up.
we have a copy? You got a copy to put up?
Yes.
Gentlemen?
Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Paul Fox, Director of Facilities. I'm here with Nestor Engineering. Last couple weeks ago, we were here, and there were a few discussions about things that we would like to see different in regards to the Robinson Tennis Court project. Again, overall, this is the existing 5 tennis courts, a new proposed design of 8 tennis courts. Specifically, there was a lot of conversation about the entrance roadway, in which Arson and his team has gone back to, and they have some new renderings and proposals for you to look at. So again, thank you for this opportunity to be here today. With that, Arson,
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everybody. Appreciate you having us. We took your input. We went back and we revised, as you said. We removed the drainage channel. That way we're able to save most of the trees. We're only calling out 5 trees to be removed. And as you'll see in the landscaping plan, we're putting back 11. So significant improvement as far as that's concerned. and we just added 2 catch basins to catch the runoff within the parking lot. It still goes to a 4-bay, so it still gets its pre-treatment, and then it goes to the pocket wetland, which then it outflows to the existing wetlands. So we feel that was a great suggestion, and we're happy to have obliged.
Not better, yeah.
That's
No
it.
greenhouse?
Unfortunately, no greenhouse.
Next project.
All right.
Project, huh? Okay.
Next project.
So, order conditions. Have you read the order conditions?
Any
Comments?
changes, comments?
Comments?
We don't have any
I got a couple.
objections or
Yep.
issues.
The approved plans don't have revision dates, that they were,
Yeah, no, that was, the draft came out before, or,
Before we got this plan.
yeah, Nezra had,
so that's on
sent
page
these to engineering and
Okay.
didn't realize that they were for us as well.
I
That
apologize.
was-
10D
So
in the
we'll,
middle of
we'll,
10E. That's where they go, okay.
yep, yeah, that was more for, also on 10D, but we just wanted to make sure that we caught them, and so if the commission's satisfied with it, we
The
can
only ones I had.
certainly, as amended to include, remove the strike-throughs and update the revision date.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Fine.
You guys good? Motion to approve the order of conditions as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to close the public hearing?
Yep. Do I have a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, guys. We're good.
Thank you all for your time. I
Yeah.
look forward to working
We're
with you in
redoing
the
that,
future.
yep.
Thank you.
Gotta mix it up, you know?
Gotta mix it up.
Thanks.
Okay, we're moving on to our 8 PM, which is the continuation of a public hearing, Kurivi, 28 Lakeshore Drive. We still don't have a file number on this.
No, and, well, DEP had comments on, they wanted to see plans with the, distances to the wetland resource. We've worked with them, you know, they've provided a kind of, they've provided an annotated plan showing kind of the existing conditions, and then I think it's 5 trees to be removed. Later today, or this afternoon, I also sent along, photos I took from a site visit to show kind of the extent of, kind of the existing conditions. And as I mentioned previously, the entirety of the lot is within the 100-foot buffer.
Any floodplain?
No,
I'm
no,
gonna
this
keep harping on that,
that-
because we got our
I
wrist
know,
slapped.
Jim, you and me both. No, I mean, this one's certainly high enough. There's a, you
Good.
know, probably 3-4 foot, retaining wall that's outside the water.
And the trees that are slated for cutting, are those threats to the building?
I think a couple are just kind of leaning in, awkward angles, going with kind of their growth towards the sun.
If they're diseased or if they're threats?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of them are threats.
Okay.
There's some really big pines.
All right.
So I know they are looking to add some more smaller landscaping, and trees and bushes kind of around the between, as screening and, you know, between them and the adjacent properties, and also just to keep the keep the property well vegetated.
So they're not gonna stump these trees, right? They're just gonna cut them?
No, I mean, we can certainly include that as a
Yeah.
condition, for the next meeting, and
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause I think she had said that the 3 trees near the lakes, the roots had actually compromised the adjacent retaining wall, so.
yes, yep, and so was pushing out on that, and so I know there was concern there. I think that was one of the photos I tried showing, was the, the existing retaining wall cracking kind of in the middle, so, it's very likely due to the, probably its age and also those roots pressing up against it now.
Okay, any other questions from the commission? Any questions from the audience in this application? We'll continue this to our December 8th meeting, and you can probably write the order, right?
Yep, yeah, I'll follow up with them,
Okay.
make sure they.
Motion to move it, to continue this to December 8th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. 8:05. Moving on to our 8:05, which is a continuation of public hearing and issue amended order of conditions for Walter, 62 Lakeshore Drive South, 3341649.
Evening, everyone. Rob Walter, 62 Lakeshore Drive South. We're looking to remove, once the lake water recedes, it does not look like it's going to recede in time this year. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of rain, but we'd like to remove the creosote railroad ties and reinforce the retaining wall with large 2 to 3 foot fieldstone. Dan's gonna do the work for me, and I understand there was questions or a follow-up.
Any follow-up on the our last meeting?
One question I have.
Yep.
This, I understand what this is for, and I'm all for it, this is okay, but, I was gonna say, the December to April, ban for no work, if this is when they're
It
gonna-
wasn't in the original because the intent was to do the work over in that time
All
frame.
right, that's what I was concerned with, is that we were gonna say, yeah, you can do it, but you can't do it now.
Yeah.
That's the only time you can do it, so, okay.
He just has to make the request, that's
Good.
all.
Well, yeah, no, it's not in the,
It's
I
not-
don't think it was in the original.
It's not an original condition, so he doesn't
No,
have
but
to-
you just make a separate written request.
He does?
Yep.
For what?
Because
Do the
we're
work
not
between
prohibiting the work
We
during
didn't
that
ban
period.
work from
Right.
December to April, so he
We're-
doesn't have
we're allowing
to, he's
him
all
to
set,
do
I
it.
think, right?
It's part of the order.
Okay.
Yeah, I know,
Well-
Margaret.
One
Oh, I
of
thought
the-
you had to specifically ask to do the work.
If we
If
list that as one of the conditions, but we don't have it as a condition.
It's a notice in the original order conditions to notify you before the
Right.
work begins, as well as
It's
notify
not,
when
it's
it's
not in
completed.
here, Eric. We're
Okay.
actually telling them it's okay to do it.
Good, good. That's what I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
Margaret?
The one thing that I noticed was not covered in the conditions is metrics or parameters that says if the work is not completed by the time the drawdown is ending and the water's coming up, we really need language in there that says, you know, this is, if the work is not completed, this is what's gotta happen.
Well, isn't this similar to what they did on Longside for a Pond? When they put in the field stall boulders and the woman removed those?
Yep, I mean, I can certainly find that condition where,
And
you
what
know,
we
we
did is we
allowed
had
for
them
the.
put up that like coffer dam almost that
But
used
that
that
was-
silt fence.
But I believe that was done from the land side. This one, I don't believe it can be done from the land side.
No, you're coming in for Sandy's, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they're coming in through the edge of the lake. If they're not gonna be able to complete the work in time, there needs to be a plan in place that says this is
Well,
what.
how long is this gonna
He's
take
on a
to do?
slope.
What's the time
Hey,
period?
Dan? Yeah. Thank you.
It's only gonna take a couple of days.
I know it's only a matter of time.
He's got 46 feet there to do,
Yeah, well, I'm
to
just
tear
gonna-
out and put in.
How
100
long?
feet.
You get in there.
Even more, there you
How long
go.
will it take to do it?
Yeah, if you can get in there, the water's low enough, you can get in there and do it. How long is it gonna take you to do it?
You're less than, like, 2 or 3 days. I mean,
Okay.
it's not a, you're just placing stones pretty much to build that main wall. But the big thing, he kind of glanced over that a little bit in the beginning, is we're trying to get the lake down. Like,
Right.
this is gonna be the big one.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're
You
gonna
don't
be
think
able
it's
to
gonna
accomplish it. The water table's
You're gonna have
just
to
too
wait for
high.
Yeah, it's really high right
I don't
now.
wanna risk it.
So, this may be, I know these order of conditions are good for 3 years.
Right.
But I mean, whatever work he'd try to get done now, but I don't see being able to get the machine through there if we don't get the level down, so
Well, I think we're good.
it might be a,
Okay.
but,
So again, it's dependent.
yeah, and,
Yeah, but you can't get the machines in there, you
Yeah,
can't.
if you can't
do
get the
it, so.
machine in, it's not
If
gonna
you can
happen.
get them in, then he can do it in a
Yeah.
couple of days.
but the other thing is, I think we're gonna have to make that decision. I'm gonna talk with Matt again, actually tomorrow on this, is if we don't get to do it this year, we'd still like to be able to do the bigger one next year. And
Yeah,
I think if we don't have as rainy a season,
Right.
we should be able to accomplish that.
Okay.
So.
All right, so I
We
think we're
got
okay.
three winters to try it.
3 winters to try it,
Extension.
exactly.
Go for it, 3
That's how you can look at it.
Thank
3
you.
winters to try it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, yeah, so if we're gonna do it, I just, make sure he knows that you're gonna start it, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So motion to approve the order conditions?
One, on the order of
I'm sorry.
conditions, I think it's just a typo that probably someone else already got, but in the first line of the findings, it says Robert Walker, but I think it's supposed to be Walter.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
good.
There we go.
Thanks, Ann.
All right. So can I have a motion to approve this as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for your help.
Thanks, guys, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it.
Moving on,
Thanksgiving.
yeah,
You as well.
Chris here?
I don't see
No, he's not
Chris
here.
here.
We just, no. Moving on to our 8:10, which is the continuation of a public hearing for Franklin Bridge Street. Chris isn't here tonight. Anything else happened up there?
I haven't seen anything,
New.
I haven't checked,
And
but also,
state?
I need to follow up with the state and see if they, I mean, he had the tracking numbers on, for the last, for when he resubmitted everything to the state. There hasn't been a file number. I just wanna, I mean, with that also being said, there hasn't been any movement, I feel, at the DEP level since before the last meeting of any materials being received. So, that's, I don't know what's going on, but, I mean, we have plenty, I mean, all three, or the Eagle Scouts project, the ANRAD, so I don't see, I'm not surprised that
Okay.
there hasn't been.
Well, let's just move this to our first meeting in January then.
That's fine with me.
Yep. So can I have a motion to continue this
So
to
moved.
January 12th?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Do,
we got time. What do you want to do?
the minor modification request, this was
Minutes.
kind of a follow-up from last week.
Okay, yep, minor modification request for Forge Pond Outlet Channel Improvement Project?
So at the last meeting, I presented that the contractor who's proposed to do this was looking to use a cofferdam. I was mistaken in that he's looking to put the cofferdam perpendicular to the flow across the outlet channel. There's been higher, as Dan was mentioning with NAB, the waters to the lake levels, everything's high. Dave Barr, who's on the Friends of Forge Pond, was informing me before the meeting that the water level went up about 1.5 feet with the rainstorms in October. They're still working their way. They're making some of the gains back, and over the next couple of weeks, I think they believe they can achieve kind of the full drawdown level that they usually get, but also are still looking to include the cofferdam kind of across the outlet so that they can, in the event of any significant rain events, holding back enough water so that they can work in mostly dry conditions to excavate kind of the thalweg there.
So there's not going to be any flow then?
I think it's anticipated to be 2 to 3 days is kind of the duration.
So if they back it up, or is it gonna back up too, if they
Yeah,
block it up?
that's what I'm thinking, yeah. If it's already high. That would be our
I
concern
mean, will
here.
we be impacting anybody's property if they
Well, the water
pull it
level,
back?
Dave, the water level is already down.
The water level's down, about 1.5 feet, from what it normally is. It had come down 2 feet, went back up a foot, it's down some more. If they put this across the channel,
Yeah.
it would, just make the lake rise a little bit more.
Yeah, well, that's what we're concerned about. We don't want it to rise too much, and then we
Well,
get...
it's never gonna rise up to the point that, it is during the season.
So I guess the question is, how do you determine what the elevation of the cofferdam's gonna be?
So it would be put across the channel, upstream of the sandbar, and the lake elevation would be down several feet from the normal level to begin with when they put it across.
Okay.
And so it would only go up, it would go up less than a foot during that time. So it would still be well below the normal lake level.
I hear what he's saying, if he can get this, if there's sufficient lowering of it, the lake,
Yeah.
that would work,
Right.
It's not gonna if it stays at its existing level.
Well, we don't know what the elevation is. I mean, that's the only issue. What's the elevation of that cofferdam? Because if someone goes in there and puts it up 2 feet higher than
Yeah.
the lake is now, right? That's the problem, so.
Yeah, so the flow through there is, even when we're have the flow wide open, and we're going at the 80 CFS, the lake only goes up a few inches, goes down a few inches a day.
Yeah.
So if we cut that off altogether, it would come up by that much,
Okay.
a few inches a day.
And how long do you think it's gotta be in place?
It would be less than a week.
Yeah, I think I think he's proposing to be, actively in the outlet channel. I think he's aiming for 3 or 4 days, 4 max.
Yeah, I would just say,
Well,
the lake levels aren't gonna go up any, hardly at all, that would be fine, but if it's started to becoming noticeable or something like that, I don't know what you would do, other than allow some of that water to be released.
Right. It could always, they could stop the digging, they could remove the cofferdam, let the water back down, and then put it back in again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess we'll just have to have Matt supervise it, okay, when they put it in, to make sure it's not too high.
Yeah, we just have to
Alright.
make sure that the water level is maintained,
Yeah.
We're not.
between a certain level,
Right.
Yep.
Okay. All right, motion to approve this amendment?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Dave.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Okay, we're moving on to our 8:15, which is the continuation of a public hearing issue order conditions for George Allenson Sons Construction, 22 Griffin Road, 334-1769.
I don't think your friends are coming in.
Don't think so. So,
Not coming in?
eh,
Yeah, I saw that too.
Night, Dave. Thanks.
in case. My name is Philip Trepler, here again. I believe I saw you guys a couple weeks ago regarding this application for order of conditions for George Allen and Sons Construction. I'm from the law firm of Finneran and Nicholson, and frankly, as far as we're concerned here today, we've gotten a chance to review the proposed order of conditions, and
Can you do it without us, Phil?
yeah. I figured I'd take a blind run at it and see if I was lucky. So I get to actually introduce the people I came here with. I've got George Allen and his son, the people that make George Allen and Son Construction Incorporated, and Steve Dresser from Dresser Williamson Way, our engineer. And as far as the legal review of the order of conditions, the proposed one, we're good to go. We have no issues with the order of conditions. However, we do have an ask as far as the when we want to start work on certain days. I believe Steve Dresser can go into a little more detail on that.
You can do that after we approve the conditions.
Of course.
You gotta put it in writing what you wanna do.
And time frame as well, yeah.
Everything in writing.
So,
But other than that, we are just looking for an approval of the order of conditions.
there were 2 typos in condition 54. The first line, by, should be B. And then 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 should be amended to read, this boundary shall be maintained in perpetuity and the ongoing maintenance, as opposed to what was currently very poorly written by myself.
But also with condition
Oh.
41 being blank,
Yes,
the numbers
struck
will
as
change.
being blank, yep.
So that actually becomes condition 53.
Right.
Yep.
There's nothing to condition 31.
So I think we're good there.
Well, so when I looked at what's going to be the new condition 41, and it talks about landscaping shall not require ongoing fertilizers and pesticides. My thought was that also it should not require ongoing irrigation. And I didn't know what other commission members thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
allow watering.
is and some of what's not clear to me is when this is landscaping as part of the subdivision road versus landscaping as part of private yards. But if we're saying no fertilizers and no pesticides, does it also make sense? You know, they can certainly put out a sprinkler, but in terms of having ongoing irrigation, it just,
Like
you know.
an installed underground system,
Yeah, is that kind of stuff, because,
I don't have a problem with that if they.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that either. You know, I can understand them saying, you know, no fertilizers and
Right.
pesticides, but, you know, if somebody wants to water their garden or put in, you know, underground
Sprinkler system or
irrigation, I
something,
really
yeah.
don't think that's for us to be saying no to.
okay,
Yeah, we've
as
never
long as
done
it's
that
not in the
before.
buffer zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we've never done this before.
Well, what I thought about is when we were at Summer Village, there's a place where it talked about that what they were going to do for landscaping was no pesticides, no fertilizers, and no ongoing irrigation, and that was,
Yeah, because there weren't supposed to be any lawns, that was one thing.
okay,
It was all supposed to be naturalized.
okay. And and that was in the buffer zone to the lake,
Yes,
okay.
right.
Would we be able to add fertilizers, pesticides, and also herbicides to that?
Within the buffer? I
Yeah,
suppose we could within the buffer.
Yep.
Could add that.
that would stop from like, you know, spraying for mosquitoes and stuff and, you know.
You don't wanna
Yep,
kill off
within
the plants in the buffer.
So I don't think they have a problem with that.
Oh, sure you do.
Is that it? We good?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, motion to approve the orders as amended?
Excuse me, would it be possible for someone in the public to make a comment?
Yes, Bill, I mean, we received your letter. You guys all read it?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, we had already brought up this subject with them about where the trail was, about, you know, putting a CR on it, whatnot, and they didn't want to do it. And we can't force them to do it.
But one thing I would add is, at the limit of work, we're having them put in signs that demarcate a wetland resource area, do not disturb, and there's language in both purchase and sales and deeds that make the homeowner aware that beyond that line, if they want to do anything, they have to come to the commission with a filing because it's in the buffer zone.
Right.
So that gives us the ability to review and any work that would, any clearing or extension of lawn that would be done there would have to be approved by us. So it's, you know, we've already built in that case.
That sounds good, thank you.
Yep,
Okay.
it's in there. Yep. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the orders as amended?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion to close the
Well,
public
wait,
hearing.
do you want to do that? Doesn't he want to put in his,
Yeah, they do it after we,
Okay.
after we do it.
all right, that's
Motion to
fine.
close the public hearing.
So moved.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. So now you want to work between November 1st and,
But he has to give us a plan.
yeah, have you got it in writing?
I've sent it to you, he's indicated on the plan the areas within the buffer he's looking to work. It hasn't, there isn't enough specific dates or,
Yeah.
Could he provide it to us so we can approve it at our next meeting?
Yeah, we really want to see the timeline.
Yeah, I
when
think
you're gonna
when,
do
when
it.
I talked to Matt, I think I just kind of said, you know, I'll put together and we can at least discuss it. There's some discussion with the planning board about actually the time when you can construct the road going on and all that. So we don't even actually know the timeframes at this point, but we can nail this down. But I just wanted to, you know, bring it to the attention right
Yeah.
now, I guess. It's just one small portion of the road, and up the front, you know, a small, where they're gonna frame, just a small portion around that.
Okay. So when you finish with the
house.
planning board, just come back to us with a timeframe of what you want to do, when you want to do it,
Okay.
okay? And-
Yep.
And in writing, and we can approve it next
Is
week.
is it a public hearing, or how does
No,
it?
it's just a request,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
It will be put on the agenda, as a discussion item.
Okay.
Or he can put it on a time frame.
Just send it to Matt and he'll bring it up for discussion.
Will do. Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, we're done.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our 8:20 PM agenda item is continuation of public hearing for Greystone. They've requested a continuance without discussion December 8th. Can I have a motion to do that?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I guess it's tough to get motions out of.
It's all in there.
Okay, on to discussion items. Conservation land, tree removal and replacement, sycamore and cypress. Any work on that?
I'm gonna try I have an idea on a couple boulders, that I'm going to ask if we can use, that highway can pick up and locate onto that parcel, so to kind of limit the, using it as parking. Also, I'm working on some shrubs to plant, obviously not now, but, getting them lined up for the spring to.
Blueberry bushes or
Yep,
something like that would be good.
laurels, something,
Not a big tree.
yeah, I mean, yeah, right, exactly. We don't need to plant a tree just to, have National Grid cut it down again. So I am working on that.
Okay. Okay, conservation restriction number 20, Kalisa Woods, 5 Kalisa Terrace, common land boundary. Matt's gonna report on that?
So I met with the property owners. The bounds have been installed. They're at/below grade. The property owners have young kids and we're concerned about tripping onto them. And I've confirmed with the surveyor who did the installation that they did install them. So I think the boundary
Have been marked.
yeah, have been marked, and going forward, I intend to head out there with the Conservation Trust president to actually blaze the trail, and try and better demarcate it so that, people are staying alongside that stone wall, which is the outer bound. So going forward, we don't have any trail property owner issues.
So the only incursion left was a pile of mulch. You said that they
Yep,
removed.
and that was removed last night. I received a
Nice.
photo this morning by the property owner, so there's really no
No incursions.
encroachments or incursions left to deal with.
Good.
When you go out with the trust to mark, could you give me a call?
Certainly.
Don't
Yeah.
schedule it around me, but if there's.
Yep, certainly.
Okay, I have a lot of free time, so.
So we also went back to the CR and pulled the CR out and read it, because the trust trail map incorrectly shows the trail coming out on the circle down the side of the house, and that's not really in the CR. So I think we talked to Bill, and they're gonna have that map revised?
Yep,
Yeah, good.
emailed,
Yep.
I think Rich.
Positive?
Yes.
Okay, he's the map guy, yeah.
He said they revised their plan, the map on the trust's website, and we'll make sure that it is updated in the next edition of the Trails book when that comes
Awesome.
out, when it
Okay,
does.
great.
Great.
Okay. Bill, you have any other comments on this while you're here? Great, so we're all set.
Good.
Put this to bed. Awesome. Okay, Dayfield, response to the Ag Commission. Margaret?
We talked about that already.
Yep.
No, that was the bees. Yeah, we had,
Bats. That was the bats.
bats,
Not the bees.
sorry, the bats. We had a very busy meeting November 1st. So this is a separate topic related to the farmer. And in the discussions, one of the things I realized is because we were doing the RFP, excuse me, about the time that I came on the commission, I really don't have a clear understanding of what was the commission's goal and intent when we put out the RFPs for a farmer. My understanding from the AgCom is that the farming portion had been maintained in a fallow state, I guess. There was winter wheat in the winter and some other crop in the summer just to kind of maybe help keep weeds out or keep the site stabilized. And so when we put it out for farming, I was wondering what the commission's goal was. Were we,
Was to have the property farmed.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. That's
Continuing a
the
tradition of
intent.
agriculture.
Yeah.
okay. because,
It used to be the pumpkins and all that, and
yeah, okay, so it was to get it back into agriculture.
Yes.
Yeah.
keep it in agriculture, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep it, because one of what I'm running into from the Agricultural Commission is they have expectations about what the farmer does that are not requirements in the lease.
Nope.
Is the farmer doing something that's bothering the
Yeah.
day?
What's the underlying thing here?
Okay, so the underlying thing is she's put up a perimeter fence on approximately 2/3 of the land she's farmed. The community garden takes down their fence every fall. Actually, I think the town does it for them, so that wildlife can move through. And they are saying that they think that she should take down her perimeter fence as well, so that wildlife can move through. She may have it there because she doesn't want deer, et cetera, getting used to walking through her fields.
Right.
So some of this is, I didn't want to start pushing back or answering these questions or whatever until I check with the commission to make sure we're all on the same page, that if she's put up the perimeter fence, the lease doesn't say she has to take it down, and so we're not going to require her to take it down in the fall. There was some concerns about how late this spring she was getting out there, that she's not always putting all the acreage under, she's not cultivating the entire parcel every year. And one of the suggestions was, if she's not gonna be able to plant a certain portion, they were proposing that we go back to planting what crop is on there. And I really,
Why is the
Yeah, why
community
is that
garden worried
dictating
about
this?
how late or early she? I can understand, like, if they, they see in somebody doesn't have to remove a fence. If we neglected to put it in the lease and it's not in the lease, then so be it, the fence stays there.
A
then.
3-year lease?
But,
There-
Yeah,
well,
I
it
think
doesn't
it's,
plant
I think
early?
it's 5.
I don't
Is it a
understand.
5-year
I
lease?
think it's.
Yeah, it is.
5.
And what's she in the?
about when
What
she
somebody
plants.
else,
and there, Peter, I think you've seen some of the pushback is, it looks like a small-time farm. You've got this, there are row crops, and you've got just weeds and other vegetation growing up among it. There's concerns that because there's weeds growing, that those weed seeds will come over to the community garden. It's really, it's a lot of pushback that it's not living up to what it ought to look like.
I don't
We
know
didn't
what,
put
I
any
don't know what that means,
expectations
what it
on
looks
what it
like,
should have
because,
looked like.
you know, if you go up, you go anywhere where there's rural farms, especially up in Vermont,
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
what do they expect it to look like?
They
It looks like
expect-
a rural, small farm.
They expect it to look like the day, they expect it to look like they would like it to look like the community garden.
Yeah, but
They
it's.
would like
yeah.
it to be managed the way Hills Orchard is. And, you know,
Well, Hills Orchard, if you walk through the orchard, isn't always, you know, it's not
Yeah.
always mowed, it's not always in the greatest shape either. I mean, you know,
Okay.
these guys have to try to make a living off of this. And they don't have the resources to go in and mow the lawn between the rows of trees every other week. I mean, they
Okay.
just
yeah,
don't have the
they just
resources.
simply don't have the manpower and the time.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we understand she's a small-time farmer, she's, what's the phrase? She's an early, she's an entry-level farmer, and we realize that at times it's a stretch. She does what she can, and we support her. You know, in terms of, there's nothing we would want to go and try and, if it's not in her lease, we're not.
It's not in our lease, and I don't think anybody on the commission here wants to do anything about that at this
Okay.
point. If, when we go with a new RFP in 2 years.
We could modify it
we can
then.
We can
Yeah,
discuss
we can
if we
change
want to
it then if
modify
we,
it.
you know.
But the bottom line is she's just a small farmer, she's a small organic farmer, and it's not ever gonna look like the garden,
Okay.
where everybody's weeding all the time.
Right,
They have some.
And
defined
that was kind of where my mindset was, and I had gotten to the point that it's like, I wanted to come back to the full commission and make sure we were all on the same page before I started saying, you know, I wanted to be able to come back and speak for the commission as opposed to potentially
Right.
just speaking for myself.
Right, so when you go back to the commission, you can tell them when the RFP comes up for renewal, they have to rewrite it, we may in fact put in some things about the fence having to come down. We may put in that,
And it may be a good time for them to have some input if they want
Yes,
Yeah.
to
they
do
can,
something
they
at
can
that time.
participate in the meeting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But I think we're totally supportive of small-time farmers as well.
Absolutely.
And I certainly wouldn't want to in any way think that we weren't.
no, because you know how hard it is
It
to
is.
find
How
these
hard was it to get that
small-time
one farmer? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
So
you
we're
very
good?
much.
awesome.
Can we take the
Thank
COC
you.
request for 5
Yeah.
Blacksmith?
Is that why he's
Yeah,
here?
that's
Okay.
why Matt and everyone's here.
Request for certificate of compliance, 5 Blacksmith Drive, 334-1309. Come on up, sorry.
Yeah.
We got a little carried away with farming.
That's all right.
This Blacksmith Farms?
Well, and
Okay,
actually,
it's not, okay.
think of it, with the deer, you wouldn't want the deer to get into the habit of going through there. You wouldn't want them trapped. And it's only 2/3 fence, so they're not trapped. Yeah.
I know Matt has same plan on the overhead. I just have a colored version to hope kind of clarify or provide some context. There's a lot going on that little plan. Matt Waterman, Land Tech Consultants. Here with me tonight is the property owner, Nick Pirog.
Correct, yep.
Pirog. And Nick bought the house from the developer when it was constructed, Blacksmith Drive, which is down off of Route 40, almost where Forest Road crosses Route 40. The order of conditions for the house was obtained by the developer at the time that they completed the work. Nick has lived there ever since. He got a pool company that did a notice of intent to install a pool in the backyard. We're here tonight for certificate of compliance for that pool area. The pool was installed at around the time or shortly thereafter, within the first 6 months or so, there was an enforcement order issued by the commission. There was some grading along the back, and it's kind of shown on this colored plan. This is the patio of the pool, and then the kind of the limit of the tree line. And from what we can best tell, it's described as a 20-foot by 200-foot area, which roughly measures this area behind the pool and the driveway. At the time that enforcement order was issued, Nick worked with the conservation at the time agent. They did the work, they removed the sod that was in place. They put in a sandy material. I know the conservation agent was working with, I believe, the turtle habitat for Greystone at the time was very active, and so they worked with the turtle expert. They put in a sandy material, and things proceeded, and Nick has been enjoying his pool ever since. They're selling the house, certificate of compliance. The pool area is as it was proposed. There was one issue, the deck or the concrete patio area was enlarged slightly. It was approved at 1,300 square feet. It was installed at just over 2,000 square feet. And on this plan, there was a picture provided in our request letter. But they did do and installed infiltration trenches, just kind of as best management practices. The patio does pitch away from the house towards the infiltration trenches. We highlighted that in our letter as kind of a, a way to help capture some of the runoff from that pool area. We walked the site with Matt on Thursday, and I think there was one issue with the area that was associated with the enforcement order that came up, and all the work was done properly, and it's not lawn. It's a mixture of clover, and there is some grasses in there, but Nick has been mowing it. He didn't realize that there was ongoing maintenance associated with it. It's not maintained as lawn area, but it is maintained, and so in working with Matt, we would ask the commission what their concerns are, or how to help mitigate any future maintenance of this area. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know Matt might have something to add.
The patio was expanded, I think you said a little, but that's like 50%, right?
It went from 1,300 square feet to
2,000.
2,050, so,
So about a third.
yeah.
by about 50%.
Yeah.
So is any of this
And where was
gotten
the,
closer to the wetlands?
yeah, where was the 50%
Yeah,
added?
50% on the original plan.
The pointer was
Oh,
up there.
that's right, I have a pointer.
Yeah.
I
Don't point it at
apologize.
your eyes.
I'm concerned if it's in the direction of the vernal pool, but if it's,
No, it was directly
direction.
behind the house.
Orange one in the middle.
Thank you. So on the original plan, the patio kind of ended at the deck, and it was straight off. So this area here, between the patio that was approved and the garage, so it's roughly this area that was expanded.
so there's the 100-foot wetland buffer and the pool buffer there, but, I mean, in the vernal pool, but there's nothing over here?
Yeah, there's a line right
The
there.
yep.
Yeah, the 100-foot buffer kind of,
And so how,
So he's outside the 55.
correct.
well, I guess if
It's,
you
and
get-
it's within the, I mean, the original order of condition, or notice of intent had the pool fencing. This was area within the pool fencing.
You had what, I'm sorry?
This was within the pool fencing. The fence, you know.
Oh,
to
the
include-
fence is where the fence was marked on the plan?
Right, yeah,
Correct.
it's,
The added
it's. the-
patio was inside the fence?
Yes.
Okay. got
Instead
it.
of lawn area,
Alright,
so
okay.
they showed the fence extending almost consistent with how it's built today, with the exception of the pool, the concrete patio ended here, and this area was to be as lawn area, or it didn't specify on the plan, it just, it was not specified as concrete
When
patio.
was this original order issued?
2005.
I was gonna say 2005.
Yeah? And we allowed that cabana to go in that close to the wetland?
The cabana is just a roof, it's a open,
That was on the original order, though?
it was not the cabana
Yeah, I would
structure.
I
think
think
it
it was
wouldn't have
concrete
been.
patio.
It was just concrete
I think it
patio.
was just concrete patio.
I don't have pictures, but it's a roof with open air with, I don't know how to describe it. It almost looks like, if you were to look at it from the aerial, it looks like an umbrella. But it does have probably 6 posts, or 8 posts. So the cabana, so this is a sunken patio down here. You come down these stairs, and then you can swim up to the pad.
And what's the distance of that to the resource? I mean, I'm just trying to,
Roughly 50 feet.
50 feet.
So the 45 feet is
Okay.
wetland to that corner of the concrete patio and the metal
Okay,
fence.
yeah, I see it.
So maybe 55, and just guessing.
All right.
It might be a little bit more. We could find out though.
And it's outside the buffer to the vernal pool.
Yeah.
Yep. And the vernal pool buffer mimics the 100-foot buffer, and it goes straight across and then kind of dives off. The wetland buffer picks up the other wetlands and goes this way. So there's 2 100-foot buffers depicted on the plan.
So are there any kind of markers, do we ask
Yeah,
for any kind
for
of
like,
markers on this?
where we stop
There's
maintaining,
two,
or?
that was something, you know, on the site, trying to think of potential ways to move forward with this. There are 2 granite bounds that were required to be reinstalled per the enforcement order. Those were located, but there aren't any, you know,
None of our
2
four,
foot- yeah,
none
the
of
two-
our,
the
you
2
know,
feet.
4-foot posts or whatever, or, you
So
know.
I think that would be, you know, allow maintenance right along, you know, allow maintenance right along the fence, and, you know, whether it's 3 feet, 4 feet, whether the commission's pleasure. But then outside of that, back towards the, wetland resource areas, allowed to renaturalize and, you know, not be maintained or mowed once a year.
Outside the fence.
Yeah.
So we would have a 3-foot strip that almost runs along the outer perimeter of either the driveway or the metal fence. Once you get around the corner into this area, it's maintained. Like, there's just a very small path in through here to get from this area up to the front yard.
Yeah.
So that is pretty, I think what the commission expects, you know, just a very small area past the fence to walk, to mow, to maintain, just for access. And I think what Matt and what we discussed out in the field would be to maintain that with wood posts,
Yeah.
you know, down
Yeah,
along the
certainly
property
wouldn't want it
line.
expanded, so we,
Yeah.
yeah, try
Yeah,
to.
And it
especially
would
he-
wrap all the way around. to
With
the
a new
driveway.
owner, we don't want a new owner coming in and looking at it and say, oh, I can move this back even more.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my grader out or whatever,
That
and I'm
sounds
just
good.
gonna
I think we
Yeah, I think
figured
that's a
about
great idea.
8 posts, you know,
Okay.
25 feet on
In order
center.
to do this, as this order has lapsed, I was proposing to write a friendly
enforcement.
Yeah, no, that's
enforcement,
fine.
so they
Yeah,
can
that's
install
fine.
the posts, and then, between the time, and then come back at the next meeting if it has been installed.
And then issue the certificate.
Yeah, issue
Okay.
the certificate
Yeah.
of compliance then.
Okay.
So it'd
That
be 3
work.
feet off the driveway and metal, and pool fencing,
Yep, okay,
3 to 4 feet.
that sound good?
Yeah, just make sure you stay on your own property with it, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and/or the property line, correct.
Okay.
Okay,
Um,
so we'll issue an emergency certificate tonight.
It was gonna be a violation, it'll be a enforcement order
Tonight.
yeah.
For the
to wrap.
mowing.
Yeah, so, can we have a motion to issue an enforcement order for the placement of the, post?
So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so you,
So we're happy to get an enforcement order, thank you.
yes,
You're never gonna hear me say
We
that.
don't meet again until 4 weeks.
yeah, December 8th.
You know, we won't meet again until 4 weeks, so is that gonna
Closing is
work for you
Monday.
guys?
My closing is Monday.
We can
Well,
figure
2
that-
weeks ago, I found out that, you know, I needed an as-built plan, which I didn't, the pool company didn't furnish,
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
these open
Okay.
issues, so I'm in scramble mode and trying to react as best I can.
It seems like something that we're gonna give you, we just can't give it to you until 4
You know,
weeks from now.
if I get a copy of the enforcement order, and I'm sure I can go to the lawyers and,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
either.
And work it out.
And I,
Yeah,
you know, I might be able to get those posted this weekend. And not that you guys can approve of it, but,
right.
you know, just to get it while I still own the property, to
Right.
get that done
Yeah.
and supervise that, and then,
Okay,
you know, probably put
Right.
some money in
But
it.
I think you can rest assured you're gonna get your COC,
yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
on
it's,
December 8th, great.
yeah.
Okay.
And we'll update the plan to reflect the posts, and they'll be with your standard sign saying, you know, no disturbance.
Right, okay.
And
Great.
we're assuming that that area will be allowed to naturalize.
Yep.
Okay, good.
We may, I don't know if it's annual mowing, or what's your preference on no mowing, or, it's probably the 20-foot area that's described in the original enforcement order. No mowing?
You know, once people start mowing something, then they get into the habit of mowing it. I would prefer it not to be mowed
Yeah.
and not,
Okay.
Yeah, no more.
That complicates things for sure,
Yeah,
ongoing maintenance, so it's easier, I think, from your side to.
yes, it is.
yeah.
that
Yeah, and-
It's allowed to naturalize.
Right, and for example, if invasive vegetation got in there and they wanted to deal with it, they could always come
They
to us
just come
and
back to
say,
us, right.
this has started growing, you know, here's our plan to take care of it, and we can, you know, at that point, we can review it and approve it. So it's not like, you know,
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense.
yeah.
Okay,
So thank you very much.
so you're good?
Thank you.
All right,
I'll
thanks.
have that enforcement order ready Friday morning. I'll reach out to both of you and
Great.
send electronic copies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, how about 12 Hillside Road? Can we approve that?
Yes, I've received what we needed. That was a single-family dwelling down in the long sought-for pond area. And there was wetland replications that were to be installed. Again, this is another order back late aughts. And everything looks to be in good shape, and I recommend the commission issue the order of certificate of compliance.
Okay, motion to issue the certificate of compliance for 12 Hillside Road, 3341466.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Juniper Hill Road, request for acceptance of public access easement.
So this was discussed during the Juniper Hill subdivision construction.
Yep.
The easement language, the developer is looking to turn it over to the homeowners association and also turn over the parcel J easement to the Conservation Commission for public access. I would recommend the commission vote to accept the public access easement on parcel J, subject to satisfactory town council review. The town planner and the town council are
Okay, so
going
they still
back.
have to review it. Okay.
So you want a motion to that effect?
Yeah, motion
So
to that
move.
effect.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes, September 22nd. Changes? Looks good, again?
Yep.
Wow. Okay, motion to accept the minutes from September 22nd, 2021.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I think that's it, right?
It's just the Mass DEP appeal of 334-1772, 53 Elm Road. That was included under miscellaneous in the commission's packet, and it was, and if any of the commissioners would like to attend with me, I'm planning to. It's next Thursday at, I think, 9 a.m. On site. I'd be more than happy to meet with, more than happy to have you.
More than happy to let them be more stringent if they'd like to be.
Yes.
Well, I think we overlooked the
We did.
floodplain.
Floodplain store, yeah. So,
It was marked, I remember seeing it on the plans.
Yeah.
It just was-
Yeah, and I think there is some, my understanding when speaking with the analyst from DEP, as opposed to the performance standards for other resource areas where it shall be, in terms of, if you're disturbing bordering vegetated wetland, it's at minimum 1-to-1 ratio, you have to have it somewhere. I think with bordering land subject to flooding, there may be, I think it's worded differently in terms of a, here, you can start passing these around, by the way. That's a good chat. So, it's worded differently in terms of may be authorized to allow some alteration, and again, I appreciate the commission's sentiment, so I can certainly take that to the meeting if no one else is able to attend.
If everybody around the lake reduces the floodplain capacity, it's gonna get worse for the.
Yeah, so that's certainly something we don't wanna be doing.
I know.
I think that's their position,
We missed it, I'm glad they caught it. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
That's why they're there, for checks and balance.
Right, and again, as you mentioned with the other Elm, with the Burn Ave and the Lakeshore Drive North, it's, getting the one slap on the wrist is plenty, and I will make sure with everyone going forward to make sure, there's.
Just ask.
Right, no, I completely understand, it was something that I wasn't clear on, and I can promise you I am certainly much clearer on it. And please, if everybody can sign the first 2 pages of the signature stuff.
And then before we adjourn, there's also the one you handed out tonight, the 87 Graniteville Road.
Yes, I'm gonna be working on that the next month, and hope to have the homeowner, have some research done on the history as to what was done previously. I mean, they mentioned, 3 to 4 years, but I'm not, I wanna,
So where's 7 Granite?
87. I can,
Can you just show me?
yep,
I didn't look to see where it was.
Right next to the train
It went
tracks.
before the
Is it right
selectmen.
before the train?
oh, you wanna see where
Matt passed it
it's
out tonight.
located? Oh, did you want the, where it is, or the?
Yeah, the exact lot.
Okay, yes.
It's down right across from those apartments on Bridge Street and
Just
Graniteville Road.
past Juniper Hill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, right there, okay, yep.
I don't remember anything about it, and if it was only 4 years ago,
No, I don't either.
I think the woman may have, she also said it may have been closer to 5 or 6 in her, when she dropped things off, and I was kind of,
I don't
again,
remember. Of course, I don't remember. all
I'm
that.
new to town, so it's,
Yeah.
it's all before me, so this is the lot, it's literally right along the train tracks. There's
Oh, yeah,
Juniper.
okay.
So there is some activity going on behind here.
Behind there? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll reach out to the property owner, do some research, do some digging. Sierra is phenomenal at research and things like this, so if she's watching from home, kudos to her. I'll most certainly set her on that track to go find and I'll also find a better A&R plan. The one that was in the letter was a little fuzzy, so I'll have that for the commission's review. Anything else? What else is in
That's it, right.
miscellaneous?
Yeah,
What else is
nothing
in
else?
miscellaneous? What, Atlantic, no, that one, no appeal. Noel found a native plant, look up from the, by zip code. I played around with it a little bit, it seems pretty neat. Everybody else, please go check it out as well.
I remember seeing the sign, I can visualize it in my head.
And you said it's by zip code?
Yes.
Neat.
Yeah, and that's, it's pretty, I played around with it for a couple of 10 minutes before I was like, I have to actually get to the
It
other thing.
could turn into an afternoon.
Oh.
That in the native plant trust. The native plant trusts, garden plant finder tool is so much fun. You can select, when you want it to bloom, something that blooms at this
Get
time
lost
in
in
the
it.
soils. I mean,
And sun exposure and. hour goes
low
by.
maintenance. Low maintenance was my preference because, needless to say, I may have a brown thumb. So it's if I don't have to do anything with it, I find that to be advantageous.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
You
That's right,
too.
all right.